He let my bully steal my medical breakthrough at graduation. After my rebirth, I destroyed their entire future. The first time I died, I was 24 years old. I died on a rainy night in a hospital corridor. Not from illness, not from an accident, from exhaustion. At least that's what the official report said. Cardiac arrest caused by overwork. A tragic story. A promising young researcher working herself to death. The newspapers loved it. My university held a memorial. Professors praised my dedication. Students posted emotional tributes online. My ex-boyfriend cried during an interview. The girl who ruined my life even wore black to my funeral. Everyone performed beautifully. Éveillon élite. Because the truth was much uglier. I didn't die from overwork. I died after spending 3 years watching other people steal everything I had built. My research, my reputation, my future, my family, my life. And the worst part, I helped them do it. The memory still burned. I remembered standing in a crowded conference hall, watching my breakthrough medical project win the National Innovation Award, watching another woman's name appear on the screen. Not mine. Lily Chen, campus goddess, student council president, daughter of one of the university's largest donors. The girl everyone loved. The girl who spent 4 years making my life miserable. And standing beside her was Ryan Walker, my boyfriend, my first love, my biggest mistake. The audience applauded. Professors congratulated them. Reporters surrounded them. And I stood alone in the back row, invisible, exactly where they wanted me. That night, I confronted Ryan. I still remembered every word. You promised we'd reveal the truth. Ryan looked irritated, not guilty, not ashamed, irritated, as if I were causing inconvenience. Maya, why are you making this difficult? My chest tightened. Difficult? Lily needs this opportunity. The words hit harder than any slap. I stared at him, unable to believe what I was hearing. My work, my research, my project. Ryan sighed. You'll have other chances. Lily stepped closer, pretending to be sympathetic. The performance disgusted me. Maya, we're still friends. Friends. I almost laughed. Instead, I cried. That was my mistake. I cried. I begged. I argued. I tried proving I deserved credit. But power had already chosen a winner. And it wasn't me. Over the next 3 years, everything collapsed. The project generated millions. My stolen research launched careers. Ryan became a rising medical entrepreneur. Lily became a national academic celebrity. Meanwhile, I became a footnote, a forgotten assistant, the woman behind the success nobody remembered. My parents didn't support me. Why would they? They never had. Growing up, my younger brother always came first. His grades mattered. His dreams mattered. His future mattered. Mine existed only when convenient. When I exposed the plagiarism, they told me to stay quiet. When I threatened legal action, they begged me not to ruin the family's reputation. When I lost my job, they blamed my attitude. By the time I died, I had nothing left. No career, no family, no future, just regret. And then I opened my eyes. The first thing I heard was applause. Thunderous applause. The second thing I heard was my name. Maya Thompson. My body froze. The voice sounded familiar. Too familiar. Slowly, I looked up. Bright sunlight flooded my vision. A graduation stage. Hundreds of students. Thousands of family members. Blue academic gowns. University banners. My heart stopped. No. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I knew this day. I knew this exact moment. Because it was the day everything began. The day before my life was stolen. The day before Ryan betrayed me. The day before Lily took my future. The day before I lost everything. I was back. Back at my university graduation. Back 3 years before my death. Back when I was 21. For several seconds, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Then another voice echoed nearby. Maya, hurry up. I turned and saw Ryan. Young, handsome, smiling, alive. Exactly as I remembered. A wave of nausea hit me because for one horrible second, I remembered loving him. Then I remembered everything else. The lies, the betrayal, the manipulation, the theft. And just like that, the love disappeared. Ryan frowned. Are you okay? I stared directly into his eyes. The same eyes I once trusted completely. This time I saw nothing. No warmth. No safety. No future. Only danger. I've seen it. The words sounded calm. Too calm. Ryan looked surprised. In my previous life, I was always emotional around him. Always eager to please. Always desperate for approval. Not anymore. We walked toward the stage. Students laughed around us. Parents took photographs. Professors smiled proudly. Everyone looked happy. Nobody knew the disaster waiting ahead. Nobody except me, because I remembered everything. Every detail. Every conversation. Every betrayal. And this time, I would be ready. After the ceremony, students gathered for photographs. Ryan wrapped an arm around my shoulder. Instinctively. Possessively. Like he owned me. My skin crawled. The photographer smiled. Closer. Ryan pulled me nearer. I stepped away. The movement was small, but noticeable. His eyebrows lifted. Maya? I need some air. Without waiting for a response, I walked away. My heart pounded. Not from sadness. From relief. The further I moved from him, the lighter I felt, as if invisible chains were breaking. I reached a quiet garden behind the medical building. The same garden where Ryan would later convince me to share all my research data. The same garden where Lily would eventually appear. The same garden where my future began falling apart. I sat on a bench, trying to think, trying to plan, trying to understand how much time I had. Then I heard footsteps. A female voice followed. Cold, familiar, cruel. Maya. I looked up, and there she was. Lily Chen, the queen of the university, the future thief of my career. She looked exactly the same. Beautiful, confident, perfect. Everyone loved Lily. That was part of the problem. People saw what they wanted to see, not what actually existed. Lily smiled. I've been looking for you. Interesting. In my previous life, she approached me on this exact day, at the exact same hour. History was repeating itself, but this time I knew the script. What do you want? She seemed surprised by my tone. Good. Let her be surprised. Lily sat beside me. Too close. Far too close. The way predators sit near prey. I heard your project is almost finished. There it was. The beginning. The opening move. The first step towards stealing everything. I remembered this conversation perfectly. In my previous life, I eagerly shared details. Excited. Trusting. Naive. Now I simply smiled. What project? Confusion flashed across her face. The regenerative tissue research. I shrugged. Nothing important. The confusion deepened. Because, according to her memory, I wasn't supposed to answer like this. I wasn't supposed to be careful. I wasn't supposed to be difficult. I definitely wasn't supposed to be smiling. For the first time all afternoon, Lily looked uncertain. And I realized something important. The future wasn't fixed. Not anymore. Because this time, I knew exactly who the villains were. And villains are far less frightening when you can see them coming. Lily stood, still smiling, but the smile no longer reached her eyes. Congratulations on graduation. Thank you. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other. I smiled back. A colder smile. A wiser smile. A smile she didn't understand yet. Probably. Lily walked away. The moment she disappeared, I exhaled slowly. The war had officially begun. Not publicly, not visibly, but it had begun. And unlike my previous life, I wasn't entering this battle empty-handed. I possessed something far more valuable than money, far more valuable than influence, far more valuable than connections. I possessed knowledge. I knew every move they would make, every trap they would set, every lie they would tell, every betrayal they would commit. And this time, I intended to use that knowledge to destroy them, before they ever had the chance to destroy me. Far above, graduation fireworks suddenly exploded across the afternoon sky. Students cheered. Families celebrated. A new chapter was beginning. For everyone else, it was a day of hope. For me, it was something else entirely. It was the first day of revenge. The moment Lily disappeared from the garden, I took out my phone. 3 years. That was how long it had taken them to destroy me in my previous life. This time, I intended to destroy their plan before it even fully existed. The biggest mistake I made before wasn't trusting Ryan. It wasn't trusting Lily. It wasn't even trusting the university. My biggest mistake was assuming the truth would eventually save me. I believed evidence mattered. I believed hard work mattered. I believed merit would win. I was wrong. Power wins. Influence wins. Preparation wins. And this time, I would have all three. I opened my laptop the second I returned to my apartment. The tiny apartment looked exactly as I remembered. Second-hand furniture. Cheap curtains. Stacks of research papers. Coffee stains on my desk. The home of a student who spent more time working than living. My phone buzzed. Ryan. I stared at the screen. 3 years ago, seeing his name made my heart race. Now it made my stomach turn. I answered. Hey. His voice sounded warm. Comforting. Practiced. I've been looking for you. I'm busy. Silence. Ryan wasn't used to that answer. Busy with what? I smiled. Life. Another pause. Interesting. Already uncomfortable. Good. Because Ryan Walker's greatest weapon wasn't intelligence. It was emotional control. He always needed people orbiting around him, admiring him, supporting him, feeding his ego. The moment someone stopped doing that, he became nervous. You seemed different. You noticed. A laugh. Forced. Did something happen? Yes. I died. But I didn't say that. Instead, I replied, I've just been thinking. About us? The old Maya would have melted hearing that question. The new Maya almost rolled her eyes. No! The silence became longer. Then he changed the subject. Professor Harrison wants to meet about the research project tomorrow. There it was. The beginning of the theft. Exactly according to schedule. 3 years ago, that meeting changed everything. Because it introduced Lily into the project officially. At first as a collaborator. Then as a co-author. Then eventually as the sole public face of the research. A slow takeover. Carefully planned. This time I would be ready. I'll be there. Ryan sounded relieved. Great. The call ended. I immediately opened a folder on my computer. Inside sat 3 years' worth of memories. Not physical memories. Mental ones. Every detail I could still remember. Every date. Every betrayal. Every conversation. Every future event. I started writing. Hour after hour. Until sunrise. By morning I had created something powerful. A roadmap. A complete blueprint of their scheme. And once you know a trap exists, it becomes much easier to reverse it. The next day, I arrived at the medical research building early. Very early. Professor Harrison's office occupied the entire top floor. The man was considered a genius, a respected scientist, a celebrated academic. In my previous life, I worshipped him. Then I discovered he helped cover up the theft. Not because he hated me, because Lily's family donated millions to the university. Money speaks. Principals whisper. And most people choose the louder voice. The comments hadn't appeared since graduation. I almost missed them. Almost. As I stepped from the elevator, they suddenly returned. Right. Floating. Familiar. Warning. The professor is already compromised. Don't give him the original data. I smiled. Don't worry. I wasn't planning to. The conference room door stood open. Inside sat Ryan, Professor Harrison, and Lily. Of course, Lily was there. She looked surprised when I entered. Good. Let her stay surprised. Professor Harrison smiled. Maya. I nodded politely. Professor. Please sit. I took the chair furthest from Ryan. The movement didn't go unnoticed. His expression tightened. Interesting. Very interesting. The meeting began. Professor Harrison reviewed recent research progress, funding opportunities, publication possibilities, future partnerships. Everything sounded professional, reasonable, normal. Then came the real purpose. Maya. I looked up. Your regenerative tissue project has attracted significant interest. Exactly as before. The comments appeared. Here IT comes. The trap. Professor Harrison continued. The university would like to expand the team. Lily smiled. Ryan nodded. The setup couldn't have been more obvious. 3 years ago, I practically celebrated this announcement. I thought additional resources meant success. I thought collaboration meant opportunity. I thought people wanted to help. What an idiot I had been. And who exactly is joining? I asked. The professor gestured toward Lily. Lily Chun. There it was. The beginning. The first official step towards stealing my future. The room waited for my reaction. 3 years ago, I smiled. 3 years ago, I agreed instantly. 3 years ago, I handed over everything. This time, no. Silence. Pure silence. Ryan blinked. Lily froze. Even Professor Harrison looked confused. I'm sorry. No. I repeated it calmly. The professor adjusted his glasses. Perhaps he thought he misheard. Lily would provide valuable support. I'm sure she would. Then, but the project remains mine. The atmosphere changed instantly. The pleasant meeting disappeared. Something colder replaced it. Ryan leaned forward. Maya. Warning. Pressure. Control. I recognized all of it. I ignored all of it. Professor Harrison frowned. Science is collaborative. Then Lily can start her own project. The silence deepened. Lily finally spoke. Her voice sounded gentle, almost hurt. A performance worthy of an award. If you don't want my help, that's okay. There it was. Victim mode. Classic Lily. Make herself appear reasonable. Make me appear difficult. The strategy worked brilliantly in my previous life. Not anymore. I smiled. Thank you for understanding. The smile instantly disappeared from her face. For a split second. But I saw it. The mask cracked. Just slightly. Enough. Professor Harrison ended the meeting shortly afterward. Not happily. Not successfully. But it ended. And when I left the room, I knew something important. I had changed the timeline. Significantly. Which meant the future was no longer predictable. That made things more dangerous. But also more exciting. 3 weeks later, the attack arrived. Faster than expected. I walked into the university laboratory and immediately sensed something wrong. Students whispered. Technicians stared. People avoided eye contact. The atmosphere felt toxic. Familiar. Too familiar. A young researcher approached. Maya. His voice sounded nervous. What happened? He hesitated, then handed me his phone. My blood ran cold. An article filled the screen. University researcher accused of data manipulation. The photograph underneath was mine. For several seconds, I couldn't breathe. Not because of shock. Because I remembered. Not this exact event, but the strategy. Destroy credibility. Discredit the target. Control the narrative. Lily had adapted. Since she couldn't steal the project directly, she was attacking me instead. Smart. Very smart. The article contained anonymous accusations, claims, rumor, suggestions. No real evidence, but enough to create doubt, enough to start a scandal. The comments exploded. THEY moved earlier. LILY is panicking. THIS never happened in the original timeline. Interesting. So she was improvising. That meant she felt threatened. Good. Fear causes mistakes. And mistakes create opportunities. My phone rang. Ryan. Of course. I answered immediately. His voice sounded concerned. Maya, are you okay? Such a convincing performance. If I didn't know better, I might have believed him. I've fine. The university is investigating. I smiled. There it is. The real reason for the call. Not concern. Information gathering. Control. Preparation. Good. Ryan paused. You aren't worried? No. A longer pause. Because innocent people panic. Victims panic. People who have something to hide panic. My calmness confused him. Excellent. You sound confident. I am. The truth surprised even me. I was confident because unlike last time, I had prepared. Months before, the moment I remembered my previous life, I had begun recording everything. Backups, research logs, cloud storage, witness records, digital timestamps, verification systems, evidence, mountains of evidence. If Lily wanted a war, she was about to discover she had attacked the wrong person. That evening I received an official email. Mandatory disciplinary hearing. 3 days later, attendance required. Potential academic misconduct review. The exact kind of accusation capable of destroying a young researcher's career. 3 years ago, it would have terrified me. Now, I smiled. Because I remembered something Lily didn't know. 3 days from now, someone very important would arrive on campus. Someone powerful. Someone capable of changing everything. Someone who, in my previous life, never noticed me. But this time, I intended to make sure he did. As sunset painted the city gold, I closed my laptop and looked out the window. The battle had officially begun. Not a hidden battle anymore. Not a quiet one. A public war. And soon, everyone would choose sides. The disciplinary hearing was scheduled for Friday morning. For the rest of the week, campus became a battlefield. Except nobody was using weapons. They were using rumors. Whispers followed me everywhere. Classrooms, hallways, laboratories, cafeterias. People stared when I entered a room. Conversation stopped when I walked past. Students who barely knew me suddenly had opinions about me. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked curious. A few looked delighted. Scandals are entertainment when they happen to someone else. I learned that lesson in my previous life. This time, I watched calmly. The comments floated beside me as I crossed campus. THEY thinks she's finished. WAIT until Friday. THEY have no idea what's coming. Neither did Lily. Neither did Ryan. And that was exactly how I wanted it. Thursday night. My phone rang. Ryan. Again. Lately he had been calling constantly. Checking on me. Monitoring me. Trying to understand why I wasn't breaking. Why I wasn't crying. Why I wasn't begging for help. The old Maya would have. The new Maya simply answered. What? Silence. Then Ryan sighed. We need to talk. No, we don't. Maya. His voice softened. The voice that once made me feel safe. Now it sounded manipulative, calculated, artificial. I can help you. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound surprised both of us. You can help me? Yes. Like you helped me 3 years ago? Silence. A dangerous silence. Because something in my tone made him uncomfortable. He didn't understand why. He couldn't. Not yet. What does that mean? I smiled. Nothing. His breathing became uneven. For the first time since my rebirth, I realized something important. Ryan wasn't nearly as confident as he pretended. He needed control, needed certainty, needed predictable reactions. And I had become unpredictable, which meant I had become dangerous. Eventually, he changed tactics. The hearing isn't looking good. There it was. The threat hidden inside concern. Classic Ryan. What a shame. Another pause. Then, if you cooperate, Professor Harrison may be willing to reduce the consequences. I almost applauded. The manipulation was beautiful, elegant, cruel. The comments exploded. HE's offering a deal. Don't take it. IT's a trap. Of course it was. I already knew the next step. In my previous life, Ryan convinced me to admit to minor procedural mistakes. That confession became evidence. Evidence became punishment. Punishment became career destruction. This time, not happening. I'll take my chances. Ryan's voice hardened. Maya, stop being stubborn. Interesting. Concern disappeared quickly. Control remained. Good night, Ryan. I ended the call. Friday arrived. The day everyone had been waiting for. The disciplinary hearing would take place inside the university's historic conference hall, a massive building usually reserved for major academic events. By 8:30 in the morning, students had already gathered outside. Not because they cared about science, because they cared about drama. The comments floated constantly. LOK at the crowd. Everyone expects her to lose. JUST like last time. I remembered. In my previous life, I walked into this building terrified, humiliated, alone. Today felt different. Very different. Because I wasn't alone. I had evidence. I had knowledge. And most importantly, I had a plan. When I entered the conference hall, hundreds of eyes immediately turned toward me. Faculty members, researchers, students, administrators. Everyone was present, including Lily. Of course. She sat near the front. Perfect posture, perfect makeup, perfect expression, the image of innocence, the image of professionalism, the image of a victim. Ryan sat beside her. His presence told me everything. In public, they still pretended to be separate. Privately, I already knew the truth. The comments flashed. THU Wiry already together. The affair started earlier than she realized. For a second, anger flared inside me, then vanished. Because anger wasn't useful. Strategy was. Professor Harrison entered moments later. The room quieted instantly. The hearing began. For nearly 30 minutes, administrators reviewed accusations, data irregularities, research inconsistencies, questions regarding methodology. The allegations sounded serious, very serious, until you examined them closely. Then they fell apart, which was why they needed something stronger. A confession, a mistake, an emotional breakdown, any weakness, anything they could use. Professor Harrison finally looked toward me. Maya Thompson. I stood. Yes. Do you wish to respond to these allegations? 3 years ago, I had cried. 3 years ago, I had begged. 3 years ago, I desperately tried defending myself. Not today. Today I smiled. Absolutely. The room grew quiet. Very quiet. I connected my laptop to the presentation screen. Immediately, Ryan frowned. Lily's confidence slipped slightly. Good. The first slide appeared. Research timelines. Laboratory records, digital timestamps, verification logs, hundreds of files, every action documented, every experiment recorded, every result authenticated. The audience watched carefully. The accusations began collapsing almost immediately. One allegation disappeared. Then another. Then another. Within 15 minutes, half the case had evaporated. Whispers spread through the room. Administrators exchanged uncomfortable looks. Professor Harrison's expression darkened because the outcome wasn't matching expectations. Then I delivered the first real strike. The screen changed. A new slide appeared. Access records, laboratory entry logs, security reports. The audience frowned, confused. I pointed toward a highlighted section. 3 weeks ago, unauthorized access occurred inside my laboratory. Silence. The next slide appeared. Security footage. Date. Time. Location. The video began playing. A figure entered the laboratory after midnight. The audience leaned forward. The image sharpened. Gasps echoed across the room. Because the person wasn't me. It was Lily. The comments exploded. First face slap. Direct hit. She's cook. Lily's face instantly turned white. Ryan sat frozen. Professor Harrison stopped breathing for approximately 3 seconds. I almost smiled. Almost. The footage continued. Lily accessed research files, copied documents, photographed materials, then left. The room erupted. Questions exploded everywhere. Students whispered frantically. Faculty members stared in disbelief. Lily stood abruptly. That's misleading. Bad move. Very bad move. Because innocent people usually ask questions. Guilty people make excuses. I clicked another file. The screen changed again. Email records appeared. Then messages. Then file transfer histories. Each one connecting Lily to the anonymous accusations. Each one connecting her to the smear campaign. Each one making the situation worse. The comments celebrated. Total annihilation. SHE walked into her own trap. Lily looked terrified now. Actually terrified. For the first time since meeting her, I saw genuine panic. And I wasn't finished. Not even close. Because this wasn't just about proving my innocence. It was about exposing everyone involved, including Ryan. I looked toward him, directly at him. His expression changed immediately. He knew. Somehow he knew. I had something. Something dangerous. Something he didn't want revealed. Interesting. Very interesting. I clicked another file. A private message chain appeared on screen. The audience leaned forward. Ryan's face lost all color because the messages belonged to him. And every single one was timestamped. Every single one was verified. Every single one was real. The first message appeared. Ryan. Asterisk, if Maya refuses, we'll find another way. Asterisk. The second. Asterisk, Professor Harrison is already handling it. Asterisk. The third. Asterisk, once the project changes hands, nobody will care who started it. Asterisk. A collective gasp swept through the conference hall. The atmosphere transformed instantly. No longer a hearing. No longer an investigation. Now it looked like a conspiracy. A coordinated effort. A setup. Exactly what it had always been. Ryan stood. Maya. His voice cracked. The audience noticed. Everyone noticed. I smiled calmly. For the first time all morning. Not because I was happy. Because I could finally see fear. Real fear. The kind I had carried for years. The kind they were experiencing for the first time. And then the conference hall doors opened. The sound echoed through the room. Everyone turned. Every head. Every eye. Every camera. The comments exploded wildly. HE's here. The investor. The man who changes everything. I looked toward the entrance and immediately understood why. Because walking through the doors was a man I recognized from my previous life. A man who had once invested hundreds of millions into the project that was stolen from me. A man whose approval could launch careers overnight. Adrian Blackwood, the youngest biotech billionaire in the country. In my previous life, he never even learned my name. This time, his eyes immediately found me. And when he smiled, I realized the real game was only beginning.